Hi there, let's talk about iPods. It was the go-to music player for many years to only disappear recently. Music players still exist, but it is a niche market now, replaced by smartphones. A bit like point-and-shoot cameras. Personally, at the time, I had one of those generic MP3 players in the form of a USB stick. It was good enough, but nothing special. Over the years, the iPods become collectible item and it makes me curious. What about the iPod? What is it to buy and use an iPod in 2024? I won't talk about all of the iPod, but only about this iPod Touch 6. So, I purchased an iPod. This well-used iPod. It is fully functional and was 4,000 Japanese yens. One important question, why did I choose an iPod Touch 6? In short, I sorted by lower price and looked for the first functional iPod that I could find at the time. And this is what came in the mailbox, the iPod only. I am used to Android and Windows, but quite new for Apple devices. I do have an old MacBook Pro, but only since a few months, purely out of curiosity. I never owned an iPod or an iPhone. This iPod is small, light, and have good quality materials and fitment. As my new to me iPod was missing the charging cable, I had to buy one. Because I only have USB cable, many of them. Now the iPod is fully charged and ready. Unfortunately, after 1 or 2 hours using it, the battery was flat. Of course, it's old, and the battery is certainly well used. But looking at the reviews way back, people had the same issue, even when this iPod was new. The battery life is acceptable if used as a music player, but limited when used for apps and games. Easily enough, I used the MacBook to load music. Listening to the iPod, I can say the sound quality is great. Let's talk about the headphone jack. Modern smartphones only have USB-C connectors. The solution is to use Bluetooth or an adapter with an integrated DAC. I won't talk about expensive DAC, this isn't the subject here. The iPod has a headphone jack and Bluetooth, so it's doing the iPod part correctly. But let's not forget, it's a touch, close from an iPhone of the same generation. The camera is okay, not awful, but far behind modern smartphones. The basic apps already included work fine. I'll go back later on Safari. Those work fine, but they are very basic. Calendar, photo, maps, email, the minimum. The issue is with other apps. Indeed, this iPod is limited to iOS 12 and few modern apps are compatible. No YouTube, no Netflix, no Spotify. In 2024, these iPod functionalities are very limited. That's a pity, but my experience with Safari may explain why. As I couldn't use the apps, I tried the web version of those services on Safari. Well, Safari is part of iOS 12 and thus is also obsolete. Most services require to update Safari and that's not a possibility. You can still access YouTube, watch videos, but all of the videos will be shown in only 360p. On the excellent display, this is not enough. There is an easy workaround. You can load the pages in desktop mode. But the iPod Touch struggles. It becomes laggy and sometimes irresponsive. This explains why it is limited to iOS 12. This iPod is too old tech. Let's conclude on what it can offer now. It is an iPod, a good quality music player. You can load your music library and listen to it on the go. It's small, light, easy to put in your pocket. You can also use wired earphones without any adapter or external DAC. But here stops the praise. The lack of support for Spotify and other music providers can be a showstopper for many. iOS 12 is less and less supported by apps and it's already an issue. The iPods are getting old and will most likely have battery issues. In this case, modern music players will be a better alternative. This Ipod is a nice device that can still be used for its core functionalities. It's also a nice time capsule and now a curiosity to talk about. For any other user case, it's outdated. I still like my Ipod Touch. I just consider it for what it is. Thank you for listening. I am working on other videos on old obsolete technology, but it's only a hobby, so bear with me.